And the next Speaker of the House is anybody's guess, I think, at this point. I had a very vivid dream last night, and um, in it, I could see a lot of congressmen and women fighting amongst themselves, in particular on the Republican side, of what to do about the speakership. We had read in a previous reading on Mike Johnson, and he got terrible cards on whether he was going to be reelected as speaker. We read about Hakeem Jeffries. His cards were a little bit better, but you know, tarot is only as good as the questions being asked. And is it really feasible that Republicans would come over to Jeffries and make him speaker? I don't think it's super far-fetched, but the image that was ingrained in my mind later was the Democrats talking to Republicans, and it appeared like the Democrats were willing to support a Republican, like all the Democrats were going to vote for a particular Republican as long as it was a Republican that they liked, and that's not the MAGA wing of the Republican Party. So that narrows things down. So remember, in the House, it's 219 to 217. So the Republican nominee for Speaker can only lose one vote because a 217-217 tie does not make somebody a Speaker. The election will be on Friday. That's why I wanted to jump on here today. I hadn't planned on posting a video today. Planned on relaxing and enjoying the holiday, but um, this really intrigued me. So let's start by looking at Mike Johnson. I think that's still logically the most likely candidate. Um, People often have asked, why do you not interpret the cards strictly by their definition? Well, that's just not the way I was taught to read tarot, one. And two, it depends on the question. If the question is super far-fetched, the cards have to be stronger, right? So if I were to say, is Lady Gaga going to be the next Speaker of the House and pull those cards, there would have to be something really dramatic for my intuition to switch to say, oh, yeah, Lady Gaga is going to be the next Speaker of the House, because it's not going to probably happen, right? So we all do tarot differently. There's nothing wrong with any way anybody does tarot. For me, I focus on imagery and feelings of the cards. The cards sometimes even feel warmer in my hands at times than others. Um, and all of these are kind of signs of where to go. So let's just start with, will Mike Johnson be reelected Speaker of the House in this new Congress? I'm getting the image of an empty water bottle. I don't know what that exactly means. It could mean a lot of things, I suppose. Maybe it's like negotiations have been taking a very long time to try to figure out how to get him elected. People are frustrated. The water bottle is laying on the floor as if maybe it was thrown. Um, I get the five of wands in my head. That's the image of all the people fighting with the wands. I think there's a lot of people that don't want him speaker inside the Republican caucus. Shuffle these a few more times. I don't quite feel right. Um, and no Democrat's going to support Mike Johnson. That's just not the way things are going to go. Or at least I don't think so. I guess we could ask that question too. But will Mike Johnson be next Speaker of the House or be reelected Speaker of the House? Mike Johnson from Louisiana. Yeah, so getting a little more broader pulled out image. It's not just one water bottle, there's a bunch of water bottles, and it kind of looks like they've been being thrown. So I think the media probably won't get the inside view of inside the caucus room, but it's going to be very tense. There's going to be a lot of anger. The moderates are going to be angry at the MAGA wing. The MAGA wing's going to be angry at the moderates. So let's just see. So we get the Star of Hope. So it's a possibility. It's crossed by the Empress. So this is Russian influence. So I think we need to ask ourselves which congressmen and women are being influenced by Russia. There's a lot of them that claim they don't want to support Ukraine because of the money, but the truth is the money is a drop in the bucket of the budget of the United States. And the way that Biden had structured the aid, new weapons were being made to replace old weapons, which was creating jobs. And you might almost argue that from a macroeconomic level, it evened itself out. You know, we get the devil underneath. So there's a lot of mis and disinformation. People are addicted to power. People, that don't have power as in a leadership role, but still have power because they have 219 people in the Republican caucus. They need almost all of them on every single vote. So everybody knows they have a lot of power. And that addiction to power might drive things um, in away from Johnson and towards some other way of governing because even if he's elected speaker, I don't know that it would be sustainable. We get the Four of Pentacles. This is the after tarot. So this is the miser holding on to his coins and death is behind him. This is in the past, though. So I think Johnson probably knows whether he has a chance or doesn't at this point. We are at a crossroads. Choices are going to be made. Um, that makes perfect sense in this reading. Things are going to happen really quickly. We're going to get news very quickly. Whether the news is um, accurate, when congressmen talk to reporters and congresswomen talk to reporters, is the news accurate or what they're saying accurate, I guess is what I'm saying? Or are they, spouting mis and disinformation going along with, that kind of crazy wing of the party? Um, Here we get the Eight of Wands. So news will be coming in fast. I think Friday is going to be a very hectic day, and that's kind of what I was picking up on. As in, it might not take many votes to get a speaker, but it might be surprising who actually wins. We get Judgment. I think this is just confirmation that the cards are telling us the story we want. Here's that Five of Wands that I was seeing before we started this reading. This is the after tarot. The battle has already happened. You can see people are exhausted in the imagery. So that is the fear that the fight, things will get worn down and the MAGA wing will take over and get whoever they want as speaker, which is probably got to be Johnson because I don't think they're going to get anybody more extreme. But the outcome is loss. So it doesn't look good for Mike Johnson, intergenerational relationships, and messages with the Knight of Cups. Yeah, it doesn't look good for Mike Johnson at all. He's always gotten terrible cards every time I've read on that. We get the High Priestess underneath. One of the commenters a while ago in a different video pointed out this is like Dark Brandon and this is Joe Biden, the B and the J. There's dark energy at play. There's illusion and delusion as well. So they might be overplaying their hand, thinking they have more power than they actually have, which is very, associated with the double card. And ultimately, strength is what's going to prevail, along with steady leadership. And somebody's going to have a downfall, probably Johnson. But at the end of the day, justice will be be served. So I don't know. Still the most likely scenario logically is that Mike Johnson gets reelected speaker. The cards are not good. So that tends to make me think that there might be another possibility. What that is, uh, I don't know. I don't think, if Don Bacon from Nebraska and Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania were to support, say, Hakeem Jeffries, they might as well switch their party affiliation to Democrats, right? Because, they're basically giving up on ever winning a Republican primary. So I don't think that's completely unfeasible, but I think the more likely scenario is that maybe the Democrats decide to support a more conservative Republican, um, not more conservative, more moderate Republican, and help elect him. So if a moderate Republican got all 215 Democratic votes, they would only need two Republican votes to be speaker. That, of course, is going to create a huge amount of instability in the House. But that's the energy that they're picking up. If you look at the reading that we did on, or the reading on Will Trump be inaugurated, the energies between January 3rd and January 20th are nothing but chaos. So it's really hard to say what that exactly means. But let's ask the questions. Uh, will Democrats support a Republican for Speaker of the House? Here's that dark energy again with the High Priestess that just fell out, planting seeds. So there's a lot of energy at play. And dark energy is not necessarily bad, it's just more like slightly manipulative. Like if the Democrats go to nominate somebody and they nominate somebody like Don Bacon, for example, what do the Republicans do? How do they handle that situation when, they're completely expecting the Democrats to always nominate Hakeem Jeffries? And again, I think that's the most likely outcome. And Johnson probably eventually gets the votes, but has to make these huge concessions. But it's not the only possible outcome. There are some outcomes that are possible. So if a Don Bacon or a Fitzpatrick could get, the support of over half of the Republican caucus and then the Democrats get the other half, I think that could be, you know, something that would be at least reasonably good for the country. Okay, so will Democrats support a moderate Republican for Speaker of the House to kind of stick it to MAGA? So I'm getting the image of Jeffries speaking with Pelosi, and I think Steny Hoyer, maybe, um, discussing the strategy and trying to decide whether they could extract concessions or whether they're just going to have to go with it and then have trust that it would work. It's definitely being talked about. Whether it happens, that's a different story. See what the cards say. So we get the Four of Pentacles. This is about stability. In this particular depiction, it almost looks like the people are bowing before the king. Um, it's challenged about news traveling quickly. If they're gonna do this, it can't be in the news cycle for very long. It's like almost like the first vote is going to be surprising because the Democrats nominate a Republican. We get the voters and the families. Ultimately, that's what this is about. Uh, we get ill health in the past. That's interesting. I think this refers to Johnson, and I don't think it refers to physical health. I think it refers to his standing amongst Republicans. We get victory in the sky, so this would indicate that this is something that's a serious possibility. In the near outcome, we get the Fool card, which is a new beginning, new leadership. In the subconscious, though, we have the King of Pentacles, which is my card for Trump. He did come out and he endorsed Johnson, but I think that's a sign of weakness. I wouldn't think that's a sign of anything but weakness. So I think that's the way we should interpret that. We get the Five of Swords. This is wounded in battle. Uh, this could be referring to Mike Johnson. This could also be referring to Donald Trump not getting his way. He didn't get his way on the budget deal that Biden signed. We get the courts, um, the government, the church, and the hopes and fears. I think everybody's hope is that we end up with a speaker and more broadly leadership that's just steady. I don't think people want chaos, and I think that includes a lot of Republicans that are elected officials. Yeah, and the outcome, though, is the Eight of Swords. So this is confinement. That's interesting. Immediately, what I feel this card is about is that if Democrats go down this road, they're going to be confined to having to support him for the whole 2 years. They're not going to be, when there's special elections, for example, when Stefanik goes to the UN and Matt Gaetz's seat is open and Walls's seat, who's going to some intelligence stuff. When those seats come open, even if the Democrats were to win those seats and have an outright majority, I think the deal would be that the Republican doesn't get removed as speaker. That's what I feel from that card. We do get some fiery messages, some unexpected news, and we get the spy in the camp. So this is very secretive. I think there's a plan out there. Whether it becomes public and whether it happens, I think is an entirely different story. Um, Underneath, we get planting seeds, we get anxiety, and we get very quick moving news. So I think I think it's definitely being discussed that the Democrats actually just formally nominate someone like a Don Bacon or a Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania, who they're in districts that uh, Kamala won. Uh, Don Bacon in particular has won and lost to somebody called Vargas in Nebraska. That's the district around Omaha. So it's not, I think, too far-fetched that he could do this and win. It's not, I don't think it's too far-fetched that he could become a Democrat and win in the district that he's in either. So that's the name that I get pulled to the most is Bacon and Fitzpatrick. So let's ask about those two. We'll start with Bacon. Well, Don Bacon from the second congressional district in Nebraska be the next Speaker of the House. Well, Don Bacon, the congressman from the second district of Nebraska, be the next Speaker of the House. The only way this is going to happen is if the Democrats support that. MAGA's definitely not going to go along with it. The extreme wing of the Republican Party will feel very betrayed if he gets it. I see the congresswoman from Indiana just like in a total temper tantrum. Isn't surprising. She threw a temper tantrum when McCarthy became speaker. So, um, Bill Don Bacon, congressman from the second district of Nebraska, be the next speaker of the House. I think it's a real possibility. I don't know that he wants to be speaker, though. I think that might be the challenge, is just the desire. So let's see. So we get partnerships forming. this is a good start for him in this reading. Uh, the challenge is that the news of if this happened would just be so bombastic, right? It would be just such a stab in the back to Donald Trump and to the MAGA wing. That's the challenge. But we do have fiery new starts, or at least the thoughts of fiery new starts in the subconscious. And then we get victory in the past. That's interesting. Not quite sure how to interpret that just yet. Let's pull a few more cards and see if that maybe comes back and makes more sense. Yeah, we get a new start in the sky with the Ace of Cups. Uh, the near-term outcome is moving away from troubled waters. This too, I think the vast majority of the electorate would be moving away from the extremism that is in the MAGA wing. Um, we get the moon card. A lot is yet to be revealed. Uh, we get the Emperor card. This is the card for the presidency, not necessarily specifically Donald Trump, but I guess um, that could refer to both. Biden will be president when this vote's going down. We get circles of supports and celebrations and the hopes and fears. And we get pausing and suspension, a new perspective with the hangman in the outcome. Let's pull a couple more out. We get that Eight of Swords again. It's almost like if they do this, they're boxing themselves into this um, label. And I think the fear might be if they do it and they're successful, will they be able to govern with the executive branch? And it is going to be a heavy burden to bear if he does become speaker. He will be attacked from all sides. I almost feel like this victory card in the past now is the Democrats' choice if they are going to vote for a Republican. It is a Don Bacon from the second district of Nebraska. Let's see what's underneath. Underneath, we have moderation. That's what we want. That's what the electorate wants. They don't want extreme leadership. They don't want to have a constantly having a new speaker. But we get the Five of Pentacles, which is kind of being left out in the cold. I don't know that the voters going to get what they want. And then here's the card for Trump, the King of Pentacles. But we do get the Eight of Cups too, which is walking away from things that no longer serve us. And Don Bacon walking away from Trump kind of makes sense. He's not popular in the second district of Nebraska. Donald Trump isn't, that is. Um, so yeah, I mean, like I said at the beginning, we have to be careful with these scenarios that aren't super far-fetched, but they're probably further from reality uh than most things. So the cards weren't super strong, so I'm inclined to say that it's definitely a possibility. I don't know that it'll exactly happen that particular way, but it could. And I wouldn't be surprised if it does. Okay, let's ask the same question about for Fitzpatrick. So Congressman Fitzpatrick from the first district in Pennsylvania. Ooh, I just got a real tingly feeling that he's not interested in this game. But let's see what the cards say. Yeah, I don't think he wants to go along with that. Um, Let me just see if we can focus on some of these images. It's almost like I'm hearing, I'd rather just retire. Hmm. It's it's like he doesn't want to play the game. He doesn't want to support anybody. Maybe he just retires. Who knows? That would be a very competitive special election because that district he didn't win by much, and Harris did win it. So a good Democrat could easily win that district. Okay, Will Fitzpatrick, congressman from the first district of Pennsylvania, be the next Speaker of the House. I'm getting the image of the tower card. Like it's a step too far for him. He's not willing to do it. He's been in Congress for a little while. He's seen what McCarthy went through, what Johnson's been going through. I just don't think he wants to do it. So we get the Emperor. This is the card for the presidency. Uh, it's challenged by the moon. So the energy is very tense here. Maybe that's what I'm picking up. We got two major arcanas off the bat. It's challenged by things that we don't know. Maybe that's things we don't know about him that maybe he just doesn't want to be in the public spotlight because there are things that, are underneath the surface and for entertainment purposes only interpret that however you wish. We have money being juggled. Uh, we have Biden or the Democrats in the past. I think he's already spoke to them and said, yeah, leave me out of this. But we do get partnerships with the Lover's card in the sky. New partnerships with the Two of Cups. Judgment, I think he's scared. I think he's scared of what would happen if he did do it. Like, the feeling I'm getting is he's hiding something that he's scared might become public, and that's for entertainment purposes only. I just, it's a bizarre, it's a bizarre energy. In the hopes and fears, we have the Ten of Wands. This is a fear that it's just going to be too much of a burden. The outcome card's the Chariot. So the movement, moving away from troubled waters, Six of Swords, and lots of fighting. The Five of Wands. Hmm, it's interesting. We get steady leadership, new beginnings, circles of support and celebration as the shadows. Hmm. I think I don't think he wants the job. Could he get the job? I think he probably could. I don't think he wants it. And I don't think he wants it for kind of some nefarious reason. I mean, for entertainment purposes only, but the energy is kind of really icky for the lack of a good vocabulary word. Okay, let's read on uh, Jeffries becoming speaker. We'll go with this deck. Okay, uh, Will Hakeem Jeffries. No, let's ask the question different. I never had thought this just came into my mind. What about electing a more moderate Democrat that more Republicans could get behind? Not that Jeffries is extreme, but he's in leadership, so he might be perceived as extreme by some, but maybe like Clark, she's pretty well liked, I think. Um, will any Democrat become Speaker of the House when the new Congress is sworn in? We have to be a little bit careful how we ask it because with the special elections, anything's possible mid-year. Will a Democrat become Speaker of the House at the beginning of the new Congress? Will any Democrat become Speaker of the House? We need to pull towards card. I don't, I think she's from Massachusetts. She's got really long silver hair. Um, any Democrat becomes Speaker of the House at the beginning of the new Congress. It's interesting. I can see people around her holding water bottles, so maybe she's the one that gets water bottles thrown at her. Yeah, I think there might be some problems within the Democratic Party too, with Rashida Tlaib's supporting Hakeem Jeffries if they know he's going to win. If they know he's not going to win, there's not going to be a problem. Um, and why we might step. So decisions going into this blind, having no idea whether it would work out. There's a lot of anxiety about trying something like this. We get the victory card in the subconscious, so they might think it's possible to push through somebody like Clark or some equivalent. We get lost in the past. I think this just is kind of, the Democrats didn't get the majority and they were kind of expected to. I think that's all that's about. Um, we get defending oneself with the Seven of Wands. This might be within the own Democratic caucus. We get juggling money. Uh, we get the Hermit card, so isolation, feeling alone. The lantern's not quite turned on yet. This is the before tarot. We get the Queen of Cups. This is steady leadership. And then we get the Ten of Swords and the hopes and fears. This again is complete and utter downfall and end of a dark cycle. We've been pulling a lot of Ten of Swords lately. Anything that involves this Congress or Trump seems like it's always coming out. And then we get a fiery leader with the King of Wands. We get the Star card. So there's, a wish. And we get Temperance. Let's put one more. And news travels fast. So will a Democrat be the speaker? Yet news starts, intergenerational relationships, the family, government, the courts. That might have been a Freudian slip about Donald Trump, but the courts, and we get walking away from things that no longer serve us. That's interesting. I think I mean, it's possible, but like I said, when we opened up the reading, we have to be a little bit careful when asking these questions that are a little bit more far-fetched. And um, we have to use tarot's about using intuition, using the cards, the meanings of the cards, the feelings the cards give, but also not turning off the logical brain, you know. I mean, asking, crazy, absurd questions isn't the way this works. They have to be kind of on point. Otherwise, I mean, you can get Lady Gaga's going to be the Speaker of the House, right? And that I'm pretty sure we can all agree it's not going to happen. All right. Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. I wish you abundance, prosperity, peace, and nothing but good things in 2025. I appreciate your support. Please like, share, comment, and I'll have another reading out probably not until Friday, maybe not even till Monday. Okay, thanks everyone.